said there are definitely humans on the internet. Well, I am definitely a human, and I am scrolling on the internet. So that's a bit of a weird one. 9/11. Now this is interesting. I've watched so much stuff about 9/11, so this is going to be quite interesting for me. The evidence is overwhelming that the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001 were indeed the result of a conspiracy of Osama bin Laden and crew of mostly Saudi hijackers. This is too simple for some, though. Conspiracy theories have a variety of much more complex explanations for what happened at the World Trade Center and Pentagon that day, often involving insider knowledge by President George Bush, Vice President Dick Cheney, as I say, and top Bush advisors. Some famous conspiracy theories rely on anti-Semitic tropes, such as the attack was being orchestrated by Israel. Many claim that because jet fuel can't melt steel beams, the Twin Towers must have been broken down by the controlled demolition from bombs planted before the planes hit. A 2006 Nova documentary debunked these claims. It is in fact quite possible for the columns holding up the skyscrapers to fail catastrophically when exposed to fires burning on multiple floors. Others claims are refuted by simple logic. If a hijacked airplane did not crash into the Pentagon, as it is often claimed, then where is Flight 77 and its passengers? In many conspiracy theories, bureaucratic incompetence is often mistaken for conspiracy. Our government is so efficient, knowledgeable, and capable, so the reasoning goes that it could not be possible to have botched the job so badly in detecting the plot ahead of time or responding to the attacks. Ooh, that's quite interesting. Princess Diana's murder. Okay. Within hours of Princess Diana's death on August 31st, 1997, in a Paris highway tunnel, conspiracy theories swirled, as was the case with the death of John F. Kennedy. The idea that such a beloved and high-profile figure could be killed so suddenly was a shock. This was especially true of Princess Diana. Royalty die of old age, political intrigue, or eating too much rich food. They don't get killed by a common drunk driver. I never thought that she. I mean, it's a weird one. I do think she was assassinated personally, but you never know. You never know. Unlike many conspiracy theories, though, this one had a billionaire promoting it. Mohammed Al-Fayed, the father of Dodi Al-Fayed, who was killed along with Diana. Al-Fayed claims that the accident was in fact an assassination by British intelligence agencies, as the request of the royal family. Al-Fayed's claims were examined and dismissed as baseless by a 2006 inquiry. The following year, at Diana's inquest, the coroner stated the conspiracy theory advanced by Mohammed Al-Fayed had been minutely examined and shown to be without any substance. On the 7th of April 2008, the coroner's jury concluded that Diana and Al-Fayed were unlawfully killed due to negligence by their drunken chauffeur and pursuing proper. Okay, before I was interrupted there, I was saying they were killed by their drunken driver. The conspiracy theory was also believed that by Prince Harry, who said in January 2023 he believed she could still be alive for many years after the crash. He told Anderson Cooper on 60 Minutes that he thought she may have faked her own death and that they would reunite at some point. I think that's a bit of a stretch, to be honest, but you know. Subliminal advertising. Ever been watching a movie and suddenly get the munchies? Or sitting on your sofa watching TV and suddenly get the irresistible urge to buy a new car? If so, you may be the victim of subliminal advertising conspiracy. Proponents of this conspiracy theory involved Wilson Brian Key, author of Subliminal Seduction, and Franz Packard, author of The Hidden Persuaders, both of whom claim that subliminal subconscious messages in advertising were Styx and Judas Priest, with the latter band even being sued in 1990 for allegedly causing a teen suicide with subliminal messages. There again, messages. The case was dismissed. Subliminal mental processing does exist and can be tested, but just because a person perceives something, a message or advertisement, for example, subconsciously means very little by itself. There is no inherent benefit of subliminal advertising over regular advertising, and more than there would be in seeing a flash of commercial instead of full 20 seconds. Getting a person to see something for a split second is easy. Filmmakers do it all the time. Watch the few last frames in Ninja Classes of Psycho. Getting a person to buy or do something based on that split second is another matter entirely. That's a weird one. I mean, I don't know about that, to be fair. I suppose, because obviously in films and that they make the food look nice, but I don't know. The moon landing hoax. NASA landed astronauts on the moon in 1969. By the 1970s, a bizarre conspiracy emerged that the moon landing never happened. The conspiracy was described in a 1976 self-published book, We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion swindle, and a 1978 movie, Capricorn 1. Even as late as 2001, there was a Fox documentary, Conspiracy Theory, Did We Land on the Moon?, that gave airtime to the claims that the whole Apollo moon landing program was faked. There are plenty of debunkings in the various moon landing hoax claims, and then there is the issue of the hundreds of pounds of moon rocks that have been studied around the world and verified as being of extraterrestrial origin. How did NASA get the rocks if not during a moon landing? Why would scientists around the globe willingly participate in the American Space Agency's hoax? Many astronauts have been offended by the implication that they faked the accomplishments in 2002 when conspiracy theorist Bart Sibrel confronted Buzz Aldrin and called him a coward and a liar for faking the moon landings. The then 72-year-old punched him in the jaw. Damn. I don't know how to feel about the moon landing, to be fair. I think it is. I think it is real, personally, because. But then again, why would they fake it? It's weird. I don't know. I mean, it's America, innit? You never know with them. Paul McCartney's death. Paul McCartney's not dead. As of mid-2024, he was still touring. He does interviews. He has a website. He occasionally appears in the tabloids. Pretty good for a guy that some conspiracy theorists think died in 1966. The Paul is dead conspiracy goes something like this. On November 9th, 1966, Paul McCartney got into an argument with the other Beatles, stormed out of the studio, and was promptly decapitated in a car accident. To cover the whole thing, the band hired a look-alike and sound-alike. Well, that sounds like a bit of a stretch. After going through all this trouble though, the band then took to great pains to drop clues in their album covers and lyrics saying to the public that something was amiss. For example, on the cover of the Abbey Road album, all four Beatles are photographed strolling across a zebra crossing, but only McCartney is barefoot, and out of step with the other three. This must mean something. Despite public denials by the band and many public appearances by McCartney, fans couldn't let it be and came together to look for more clues. If that is true, then that's crazy. But the doubt is John F. Kennedy. This is an interesting one. As well as this is obviously not real, but watching Marvel films, I did not know, and I found out the other day that the Winter Soldier killed John F. Kennedy. Like, that's his character, obviously, which is pretty crazy. John F. Kennedy was shot in 1963 in a Dallas motorcade, but did Lee Harvey Oswald act alone, or was there a second gunman on the grassy knoll? These questions are the gateway to a vast arena of conspiracy theories that have spawned endless speculation and hundreds of books, articles and films. It didn't help that Lee Harvey Oswald was murdered in the basement of Dallas police headquarters while surrounded by police officers. Only as the masterminds of the Kennedy assassination, Fidel Castro's government, or maybe anti-Castro activists, or organised crime, or the CIA, or Vice President Lyndon Johnson, or well, the thing about presidents is, it turns out they have a lot of enemies. The Warren Commission report, produced by the official investigation into Kennedy's death, found no evidence of overarching conspiracies, though plenty of theories still flourish. Damn. That's pretty crazy. Roswell crash and cover-up. There is one fact that almost all skeptics and believers agree on. Something crashed on a remote ranch outside Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. The government at first claimed that it was some sort of saucer, then retracted the statement and claimed it was really a weather balloon. Yet the best evidence suggests that it was neither a flying saucer nor a weather balloon, but instead a high-altitude, top-secret military balloon dubbed Project Mogul. As it turns out, descriptions of the wreckage first reported by the original eyewitnesses very closely match photos of the Project Mogul balloons, down to the stealthy finish and strange symbols on its side. The stories about the crashed alien bodies did not surface until decades later, and in fact, no one considered the Roswell crash as anything extraterrestrial or unusual until 30 years later, when a book on the topic was published. That was indeed a cover-up, but it did not hide a crashed saucer. Instead, it had a Cold War era spy program. That's meant that I love reading all these. These are all mental. It's crazy. Protocols of the Elders of Zion. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion is a hooked anti-Semitic book that purported to reveal a Jewish conspiracy to achieve world domination. It first appeared in Russia in 1905 and described how Christians' morality, finances and health would be targeted by a small group of powerful Jews. The anti-Semitic idea that there is a Jewish conspiracy theory is nothing new, of course, and has been repeated by many prominent people, including Henry Ford and Mel Gibson. In 1920, Henry Ford paid to have 500,000 copies of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion published, and in the 1930s, the book was used by the Nazis as justification for its genocide against Jews. In fact, Adolf Hitler referred to the Protocols in his book as Mein Kampf. Though the book has been completely discredited as a hoax and forgery, it is still in print and remains widely circulated around the world. Damn. We have got one more, which is the Satanic Panic for this episode, and then I'm going to do the rest next episode. For the years during the 1980s and 1990s, America became convinced that an underground network of Satanists was working together to kidnap, torture and abuse children. None of it was real, but the conspiracy theories destroyed lives and livelihoods. The pinnacle was Geraldo Rivera's infamous NBC special, Devil Worship, Exposing Satan's Underground, which aired on October 28, 1988. Rivera relied on self-proclaimed Satanism experts, misleading and inaccurate statistics, crimes with only tenuous links to Satanism, and sensationalized media reports. It was the most viewed documentary in television history. There are over 1 million Satanists in this country, Rivera said, adding that the odds are they're in your town. The panic grew out of the idea that memories of abuse were often repressed and could be recovered with the help of hypnosis and therapists. This idea was popularized in 1980 book Michelle Remembers, co-written by a Canadian secret tunnels and witches flying through the air. After 7 years, the daycare owners were eventually acquitted or had the charges dismissed. One was jailed for 5 years while awaiting trials and retrials. In the meantime, similar accusations spread through daycares around the country. Most were spurred on by now discredited methods of questioning small children, methods that often led to children making sensational accusations because they wanted to please the authoritative figures questioning them. In a 1992 report on ritual crime, FBI agent Kenneth Lanning concluded that the rampant rumours around ritual Satanism were unfounded. Philip Stephen Jr., Associate of Professor of Anthropology at the State University of New York at Buffalo, said that the widespread allegations of crimes by Satanists constitute the greatest hoax perpetrated upon the American people in the 20th century. God damn, that was a long one. That was a very long one. Wow. Well, half of these I didn't even know about, so that is quite interesting. In the next episode we will follow on to chemtrails and the rest of these down here, so I hope you enjoyed this video.